Hello, dear listeners. Welcome back to our news channel. Students, today we are going to talk about two news articles, and both will leave you thinking deeply. So, first, we'll talk about digital arrest. Okay, it's a kind of cybercrime and it is tricking people into handing over their money in fear. And then we'll talk about Sudan. Okay, so what is happening in Sudan? Sudan is basically a country in Africa that's facing war, starvation, and silence from the world. So grab your headphones and let's start exploring. First article that we have is regarding digital arrest. So, what is happening? Basically, let me ask you a simple question. What if one day you get a call from someone saying that uh, that they are from the CBI or from the police, okay, and or the Reserve Bank of India, and they say that you are under digital arrest for a financial crime and you must pay to avoid jail. So you'd be shocked, right? Well, that's exactly what's happening in a new cyber scam called the digital arrest fraud. And in this scam, what happens basically, fraudsters, they pretend to be government officials and they make phone calls or video calls, sometimes wearing fake uniforms. They do that, and their background might even look like a government office. इतना ज़्यादा वो realistic बना देते हैं, it look like a government office only. And they quote fake laws. They share they basically share some of the provisions of our you know code of हमारे जो laws हैं उनकी कुछ provisions, they also mention that. Okay, and they basically scare the victim and then they say you must transfer money immediately or you're gonna face serious punishment. And the result, panic, confusion, payment. So that's how one victim was scammed out of 7.67 crore on 42 occasions. My god. And that too over a period of 3 months. Okay, so after a case was reported in Rajasthan, the CBI stepped in. Okay, and they launched Operation Chakrafave. Okay, so they launched this operation, and it's an all India crackdown on this new cyber fraud. So here's what happened: the CBI raided 12 locations. Okay, in Mumbai, Jaipur, Muradabad, Sambal, and West Bengal, and they arrested four people, two from Mumbai, two from Muradabad. They also seized bank account details, debit cards, phones, documents, and even fake IDs. And this is one of India's first major digital arrest cases. Okay, but it may not be the last, लेकिन सबसे बड़ा है अभी तक का. So how actually the scam works? First, what they do, scamsters, they basically gather personal data like name, phone number, city, bank details, and then they call pretending to be from the RBI or CBI, income tax, or even police. And they use also fake backgrounds, uniform पहन लेते हैं. They also use legal terms to sound more convincing. है ना? So that's why we always say that we should be aware of our rights. We should know some basic provisions of law. Okay, so they use this fake backgrounds and fake props and everything to create fear and pressure. And then they say you must pay now to avoid arrested, to avoid being arrested. So the payment happens, the payment begin, and this is called psychological manipulation because they are tricking the mind using fear. Even our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji in his Man Ki Baat said in last October, and he warned people about this scam. So here's what you can do to stay safe: never trust calls from unknown numbers, and don't panic if someone says you are in trouble. Just take a pause. Okay. Lastly, I think this we have repeated many times in our mentorship session as well, that never send money or share OTPs. Okay, if you do not know who's the other person or what kind or for we are for what purpose we are using OTPs, then don't share it. And we also have cybercrime reporting number. It's 1930 1930, or you can also report it to cybercrime.government.in. So if something feels wrong, remember it probably is, right? Now, students, we're going to talk about the next article of the day. All right. Um, yes, it's regarding Sudan. So, what is happening in Sudan? See, Sudan is facing a crisis. Okay. And uh, when I say where is Sudan located, so you might have heard of the African continent, right? So, Sudan is a country in northeastern Africa, and it is now trapped in a war that has stolen lives, homes, and hope. So, where did this crisis, why this crisis has happened? See, in 2019, what happened? The people of Sudan made history. So, after almost 30 years of living under the rule of a dictator named Omar al Bashir, okay, Omar al Bashir, they used to live under the dictatorship of President Omar al Bashir. So in 2019, they came out, people of Sudan, they came out in large protest, and they demanded freedom and democracy. So their voices were powerful, and Bashir was removed from power. And it seemed like Sudan was now ready for a fresh start. But then something went wrong. See, instead of moving towards a full civilian rule, the army took over, and General Abdel Fattah al Burhan became the head of a transitional government. Okay, so he promised to hand over powers to civilians. He promised, but he didn't. So General Burhan, he promised कि हाँ ठीक है चलो हम power दे देंगे civilians को, but he didn't. He didn't do that. So in 2021, he teamed up with another powerful man called Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, who leads a group called RSF, okay, Rapid Support Forces. Together, they took complete control of the country in a coup. But soon, these two generals, they started fighting each other for power. And in April 2023, what happened? War broke out. Now, the fighting has destroyed lives. Okay, so over 13 million, yes, 13 million people lost their lives, and they 13 million people, they have been forced to leave their home. More than 1,50,000 people have died. Okay, 1,50,000 people have lost their lives. And cities like Khartoum, which is the capital, Khartoum is the capital of Sudan. So Khartoum have turned into battle zones. Hospitals are bombed, food is running out, and schools are shut. Okay, so RSF now controls large parts of Western Sudan, including Darfur. Okay, including a city called Darfur. जो RSF है, अब वो मेजर पार्ट कंट्रोल करती है, और एक सिटी है जिसका नाम है दारफूर. Okay, it also control Darfur. So while the Sudanese army controls the north and east, including Port Sudan. Okay, so अगर हम समझते हैं मैप के थ्रू, so yes, like जो RSF है, RSF, it controls the western part of Sudan. RSF, here we have RSF. Okay, while Sudanese army, they control north and east, including Port Sudan. Okay, so just recently the RSF even announced their own parallel government. अब RSF ने एक और अपनी अपनी खुद की parallel government भी announce कर दिया है. Now question is, who is to blame? See, both sides, they are at fault. The RSF has been accused of murder, looting, and war crimes. The army even carried out air strikes on civilian areas. And most importantly, who are the people who are suffering most? Ordinary people, especially women and children. They are caught in this middle. Okay, and this isn't just a civil war, it's also a proxy war. That means other countries, they are secretly supporting different sides. Like RSF is being reportedly supported by UAE, and army is backed by Russia, Turkey, Iran, and Qatar. And here's the shocking part: the world is barely paying attention. There's no global emergency meeting, no daily headlines, no peacekeeping force. United Nations says Sudan is going through first officially declared famine in 4 years. But aid is hard to deliver because of the fighting. So people of Sudan are being forgotten. And yet they continue to fight for peace, dignity, and survival. So what does Sudan need? सबसे पहले तो ceasefire, an agreement to stop the fighting. And then, of course, humanitarian aid, food, water, medicine, shelter, ये सब जरूरी है ordinary people के लिए. And it also need international pressure to bring both generals to the table for peace talk. Okay, students? तो ये था सूडान का केस. All right, students, I hope everything is clear now. So that's all for today. If you learned something new today, share it with your friends, family, and don't forget to subscribe and share for new updates. All right, bye bye.